Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Minnesota.
The Twins had an offensive outburst last night. Up and down the lineup, the bats came alive against the White Sox. 19 hits for the Twins. 11 runs came across the plate. The Twins have had at least 10 hits in 8 of their last 13 games. The homestand for the Twins continues on a hot and muggy night at Target Field. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim are here in Minneapolis for the first of 4. Hi again from Target Field. I'm Marnie Gellner. These Angels are gaining attention and respect from a lot of people, including Twins manager Ron Gardenhire. Today, Gardy said this Angels team has speed and power and a good mix of veterans and young players, and they're putting it all together right now. We'll get you set up for this 4-game series between the Twins and the Angels. Minnesota's rookies have been rolling. Kenny Vargas hit his 6th home run of the season last night, first from the right side. Danny Santana went 2 for 4. Kyle Gibson gets the start in this one. He's still looking for consistency this season. He has 1 win in his last 5 starts, but he has also shown signs of dominance this year. Tonight, Gibson will face the team that is the best in baseball, in the win column anyway. 83 wins is 2 more than any other team in the big leagues. The Orioles have 81 wins. The Angels' lead in the NL West right now is 4.5 games over the Oakland A's. We will see a very good ball club over in the other dugout across the way for the next 4 days, and we'll see some star power. Albert Pujols and Mike Trout for the Angels, Kenny Vargas, Joe Mauer for the Twins. Dick and Bert have that next.
Sports North is presented by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. And by Dodge. See your authorized Dodge dealer and experience a world of performance, design, and fuel efficiency. Go to Dodge.com and check out our powerful lineup. The Twins step back into the pennant push, albeit through the back door tonight. They take on the team with the best record in baseball. Kenny Vargas has had quite an impact in the 5 weeks he's been with the big league club. Albert Pujols has had an impact at the big league level since he broke in with the Cardinals a long time ago. The future Hall of Famer in the lineup tonight for the Anaheim Angels. Dick and Bert with you for the opening game of this 4-game series. Kenny Vargas has made quite a big splash in the Twins lineup. A run producer, a power guy now from both sides of the plate.
You know, plus he's brought a lot of experience from the minor leagues, but a lot of enthusiasm he's brought with him up to the ball club. You know what? This guy can play. We have seen him hit for power from both sides of the plate. We're kind of wondering when that first home run came as a right-handed hitter, and he showed it last night. But in his first 100 at-bats, you see where he ranks. This guy, the potential is, you don't know where it's going to go with Jason Vargas.
Kenny Vargas.
Or Kenny Vargas.
And the Angels, of course, have Mike Trout. Vargas is bypassing AAA altogether. Trout all but did that. He only had 77 at-bats at AAA, and he, like Vargas, jumped into the lineup as a very productive hitter.
You know, when you're looking for somebody in your organization to come through your system and really make an impact, and this guy really has. Mike Trout having another fantastic year. A 5-tool player. He can do it all. Defense, hit for power, got a lot of speed, and he's fun to watch, and hopefully the Twins kick their butt for 4 games here.
Kyle Gibson figures to have 5 starts left in his first full year in the big leagues. He'd like to finish on a high note. He'd like to make up for one of his low notes this year. A poor start against the Angels out in Anaheim. Game 1 with the hottest team in baseball coming up next. But they have definitely found their stroke. The offense is coming from everywhere on the diamond as everyone in Twins territory gets an up-close look at the future. Tonight, the Twins start a 4-game set against baseball's best. Can the Twins keep the offense rolling against the Angels? Find out next on Fox Sports North. A hot and muggy night to get this 4-game series underway. We expect a weather change by game 2 tomorrow. Much more fall-like temperatures. And last time Mike Trout was here at this ballpark, he was the American League All-Star Game MVP. in the AL win over the National League in the 2014 All-Star game. Mike Scioscia's Angels have been out of the postseason for 4 years, 4 consecutive years, but it sure looks like they're going back this year.
Yeah, the most wins in baseball right now with 83.
The Angel batting order: Cole Calhoun, Mike Trout, Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton, Howie Kendrick, Eric Ibar, David Freese, Efren Navarro, and Hank Conger.
Very good lineup that Kyle Gibson will be facing here. Angels hitting .259 as a club. That's the 4th best in the American League. And for Kyle Gibson, it'll be his 2nd start against the Angels this year. A chance to kind of redeem himself from that outing he had in Anaheim when the Twins were swept in that 3-game series, making his 27th start.
There shouldn't be too many balls hitting the ground in the outfield. The Twins have the fastest outfield they've had in a long time. Jordan Schaefer is in left, Danny Santana in center, Aaron Hicks in right. An infield with Plouffe, Nunez, Dozier, and Mauer, and Suzuki behind the plate. Cole Calhoun in the box. We're ready to go.
And if you've not seen Gibson pitch before, he has a fastball, a 4-seam, and a 2-seam fastball. Good sink on that 2-seam fastball, slider, slow curve, and a changeup. 26-year-old Kyle Gibson.
1 strike to Cole Calhoun. And a foul into the seats, 2 strikes. In his start against the Angels in Anaheim, Gibson was just not himself. He walked the first 2 batters he faced. He hit another batter in the first inning, gave up 5 runs, and gave up a home run to Trout in the 2nd inning, and was gone after 2 innings.
The Twins ended up losing that ball game 8-6.
2 strikes to Calhoun, Trout and Pujols to follow. Missing inside.
Calhoun doing a good job in that leadoff spot. You're not your typical leadoff hitter. He's not going to steal a lot of bases. He does have 13 home runs in his 3rd season with the Angels. There's Mike Scioscia, 15th year. 2 veteran managers going at it against each other in this series.
Gibson with a nice snag on the first hop, 1 away. Yeah, the 2 longest tenured managers in the game.
Yeah, Scioscia, 2-time manager of the year, and Ron Gardenhire, 1 manager of the year in 2010. That's what that sinker will do. If Gibson is on, we will see a lot of ground ball outs.
1 down, and that'll bring up Mike Trout. An all-star MVP this year. He is in the driver's seat to win the American League MVP by season's end. Trout, as you saw, the 2012 American League Rookie of the Year. He did not start that year with the Angels. He had a virus and lost some weight before spring training and during spring training, and so the Angels started him at AAA. The ball rifled to right center field, and Hicks is there, 2 down. And Trout had 77 AAA at bats, made his major league debut, and hasn't looked back at the minor league since.
No, he hasn't. He had 326 that year, hit 30 home runs, and drove in 83 runs.
Hicks making the catch in right field, and this is his first major league start in some position other than center field. He told me the other day in the minor leagues, AA then AAA, he split his duty almost equally a third in the 3 outfield spots in the minor leagues. 2 down, and here's Pujols. Bouncer to short. Nunez sets. And a very good first inning for Kyle Gibson. 1, 2, 3. The Angels go down on 7 pitches. first inning couldn't have gone any better. I can't imagine what they're talking about.
Well, just stay right there.
Danny Santana getting ready to start the Menards batting order. Santana, Dozier, and Mauer. Kenny Vargas, Trevor Plouffe, Kurt Suzuki, Eduardo Nunez, Aaron Hicks, and Jordan Schaefer.
And a pitching staff for the Angels that have pitched very well since and after the All-Star break. Hector Santiago in and out of the rotation, but he's been pitching very well as of late, making his 20th start, his 25th appearance, his first this year against the Twins.
Up and away, ball one.
The Twins saw him when he was with the Chicago White Sox, getting traded over in a three-team trade over the winter to the Angels.
And a strike call. And outside 2-1. He's been very stingy in giving up runs, both as a reliever and as a starter. Since July 10th, only once has he given up more than one run, and then it was just 3 runs.
Yeah, since July 10th and 8 starts, 10 games, 4-0 with a 1.84 earned run average. He's basically turned his season around, because the first half before July 10th, in 11 starts, 14 games, he was 0-7 with an ERA of 4.5.
White Sox worked out a 3-team trade. The principals involved Santiago going to the Angels, Mark Trumbo going to the Diamondbacks, and Adam Eaton going to the White Sox. 2-2 to Santana. Strike 3 over the inside corner, 1 down.
Let's take a look at the Mall of America scouting report on Hector Santiago. Spot starter, now in the rotation because of Richards and also Tyler Skaggs being out. And they need another starter. He throws all 4 pitches at Struble. He'll turn that ball over. And we just talked about the tale of 2 seasons. The poor first half and pitching a lot better here in the second half.
Dozier takes a strike over the inside corner. Dozier out of the lineup last night. Trevor Plouffe got the night off. So did Kurt Suzuki. Tapper left side, charged by Ibar, and the All-Star shortstop throws him out. Dozier running into the tag at first base. 2 down. Northland Ford defense for the Angels. They have some speed in the outfield too. Josh Hamilton in left, Mike Trout in center, Cole Calhoun in right. David Freese, Eric Ibar, Howie Kendrick, Efren Navarro, the infielders. Pujols will play first base tomorrow. And then Hank Conger doing the catching. Mauer, the batter. 3 hits, 3 walks, 10 at bats against Santiago. And strike 1. Twins were swept by the Angels out in Anaheim. They were swept by the Dodgers here. They were swept by the Giants out in San Francisco. They won 1 game and lost 6 to the Oakland A's. Thank heaven for the Padres. The Twins won 3 out of the 4 games against the Padres. Otherwise, record against California teams would be awful. I guess it is awful. They just happened to win 3 against the Padres. 1-1 to Mauer. Headed up the middle, backhanded by Kendrick, who makes a nice play. And Santiago has a good first inning as he sets the Twins down 1-2-3.
Schaefer in left. Danny Santana is in center. Aaron Hicks is in right field. There'll be some mixing and matching all month long for the Twins. Ron Gardenhire said, yes, it's an unusual outfield, but it's also pretty intriguing.
Well, we got speed and we got coverage now. You got basically three guys, center fielders, that are going to have to communicate together because they're all used to taking charge, and we run into that. But I sure like it out there. Schaefer's been playing good out there. We know Hicks is as gifted as outfielder as you can get, and our kid's been playing great in center field. So yeah, this is definitely, if you want coverage, we should have it.
They've got it, and guys, Gardy also expanded a little bit on Hicks in right field, that he's welcomed that position, the change of position. Gardy said it'll take his mind off of hitting a little bit, let him relax. He'll play anywhere we put him, and Gardy said that's what we want to hear, Dick and Bert.
Well, thank you, Marnie. Yeah, it's Ron Gardenhire related the story during that discussion of the outfield tonight, how Denard Span back in 2008 wasn't playing center field because Carlos Gomez was out there for the Twins, but Span excelled in right field when he played that position, which wasn't his natural position, and the hope is the Twins will see that type of play from Aaron Hicks. Kendrick taking a strike, and now another ground ball, and 2 quick outs here in the second.
Boy, you gotta love what Kyle Gibson's doing so far. First hitter Hamilton, he threw a nice sinker down and away. The Twins had to switch the pull on, and Loof ended up fielding the ball at shortstop, and here a breaking ball. Good tight rotation, and Kendrick hitting on top of it. So 4 ground ball outs so far for Gibson.
Angels had a big series against the Oakland A's. They swept them at home and asserted their control of the American League West. But then they went to Houston, lost a couple of ball games, only scored 4 runs in the 2 games. This one flared to left. That'll die as a base hit, and Ibar is aboard. The first hit of the game, a little chip shot, barely onto the outfield grass. And the A's are going through a tough time right now, and the Angels took advantage of the slumping Oakland A's to take over first place.
Yeah, 4.5 game lead right now for the Angels coming into tonight's play. And the Seattle Mariners, who the Angels have to play 7 more times, still feel they're in the race. They only have 3 games left with the Oakland A's.
Now David Freese give you some idea how good the Angels have been. And we've talked about it over the years. It's tough to sweep a 4-game series. The Angels not only did it against the Oakland A's, that was their 4th 4-game sweep of the season. The Twins need to be careful in this 4-game series. Nice to get the first win out of the way right away. 1-1. Already a much better start for Gibson. 5 up, 5 down. Now the 2-out hit for Ibar. Gibson had been rolling prior to his bad start against the Angels. He had 22 straight scoreless innings pitched before that 5-run first in Anaheim.
And that's what we've seen from Kyle. We saw the good, and then we've seen the bad. But you know how he responded after that start in Anaheim. He pitched very well in his next start.
One and one. Ibar goes, and the pitch tapped to third. Plouffe fires across. Ibar left the board. 5 ground ball outs in the early going for Kyle Gibson. Vargas hit a home run as a right-handed batter last night. He had 17 home runs in AA this year, skipped AAA altogether. Now he's got 6 in the big leagues, 5 of them from the other side of the plate. Strike on the outside corner. When the Twins were swept by the Angels, Vargas was about as far away from Anaheim as you could be. He was playing for New Britain in the Eastern League. Big swing and a miss, 1-2.
Well, it's nice to see in that number 4 spot the home run power that Vargas has been able to show. He's hitting .281 as a right-handed hitter, .346 as a left-handed hitter.
And Santiago tried to clip the inside corner to Vargas like he did to Santana. He missed, 2-2.
Changeup, like that screwball
to center, and Trout over a few steps for the first out.
Good location of that changeup.
From the left side, he cranked one over the high wall in right center field.
We've been showing you the speed to 108 miles an hour off the bat. Last night I think it was 104.
107. One down. Here is Plouffe, and there's ball 1. And outside 2-0.
And you know, going back to Vargas, one more thing about Vargas: 5 of the 6 home runs have been hit here at Target Field.
Driven hard to left field. Hamilton back. That's over his head. And Plouffe will be held to a single. Hamilton playing it very well. And a strong arm holds Plouffe to a single off the base of the fence.
Yeah, Plouffe hit this on a line drive, and Hamilton spun around and almost knew exactly where this carom was going to come, and it came right to him. Well, Trevor dropping the barrel of the bat, hitting a line drive off the wall in left field. But Hamilton, as you mentioned, did a great job playing the carom, getting it back in, and Trevor has to stop at first. Twins get their first hit.
Here is Suzuki. Strike 1. Santiago from the stretch for the first time tonight. And that's into center field. Suzuki with a sharp single. They're going to run on Mike Trout. And Trevor Plouffe is safe, and Suzuki goes to second. That's patented angel baseball right there. The Twins like to do that too, but that first to third base running is a key part of both teams' success when things are going well.
Yeah, take a chance right there, and I'll tell you what, Trevor Plouffe, right there, that ball hit sharply, and Trevor Plouffe, it's right in front of him here. Trout, where you want to go, is off to the right, comes up, makes a good throw, strong throw, but offline. Freeze unable to get it, but the pitcher Santiago was backing up. So good aggressive base running by Plouffe.
Infield back, up the middle at least, for Nunez. Second and third, one away. And Nunez chops it to first. That's a fair ball, and Nunez is out at first. And Plouffe couldn't pull the trigger on a dash home. You had a left-handed first baseman who, if he had caught the ball, would have been in great position to throw home. So Nunez tried to chop one into right field. It nearly worked.
Well, he took that pitch the other way, right at the first baseman Navarro that has to go, but it kind of falls out of his glove. Able to get it barehanded and then step on the bag. And once you hesitate, you can't go toward home plate, which Blue did.
And Navarro actually kicked the ball twice into foul territory, and then the ball hit him and stopped in the grass. Aaron Hicks will try to convert this scoring opportunity here in the second. Hicks has 9 major league home runs, and 2 of them against Hector Santiago. Checked his swing, took a strike. Paul Emmel hearing about it from the Twins dugout after
that was a low breaking ball there. I thought maybe he called it on the swing of Hicks. But...
now inside 1-1. Just 9 runs batted in on the season, 131 at bats. Hoping to drive in the first 2 runs of the game here in the second. Inside 2-1. The Angels have climbed into first place with the best record in baseball because of their great pitching. A team ERA of 3.52. The Twins team ERA more than a run higher at 4.54.
And since the All-Star break, combined their starters and relievers combined at 2.88 earned run average.
3-1 to Hicks. Schaefer on deck.
So they've added some new faces in that bullpen. The starters get me 6-7 innings and they turn it over to a very good bullpen now. Anchored by Houston Street. Now they're closing.
Twins won't see Jared Weaver, the Angel ace. 3-1 to Hicks. And he takes a walk to fill the bases for Logan Schaefer, or Jordan Schaefer. Celebrating his birthday today. Turning 28 today.
So happy birthday to Jordan. And you know what makes birthday so special would be a base hit right here. That would be very special for him. He's been getting some hits. You see the .333 batting average.
An on-base percentage of .402 as a Twin. A nice luxury for Ron Gardenhire to have that on-base percentage hitting out of the 9th spot. And a strike. Schaefer hitting .250 against left-handers as a Twin. Just had 14 at-bats against lefties with the Braves. 1 strike. And now a ball. This will be the 30th pitch of the night for Hector Santiago. 2-1. Santiago having problems throwing strikes to the bottom of the Twins lineup. Hicks has just drawn a walk to fill the bases. Three and one. And mentioned Schaefer's on-base percentage. He's just about matched a walk for every strikeout. As a Twin, 10 walks, 13 strikeouts. 3-1 with Danny Santana on deck. foul back, full count. And the carousel will start here on this 3-2 pitch with 2 out.
And got a fastball to hit right there, just missed it.
Spot here for Jordan Schaefer. Plouffe from third, Suzuki from second, Hicks from first. They'll all take off early. And Schaefer loops one, caught by Ibar. The Twins fill him up and leave him full, scoreless after 2 innings. North is brought to you by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. Kyle Gibson with a couple of quick innings. Only just 15 pitches to get 6 outs. And he'll face Efren Navarro, Hank Conger, and Cole Calhoun.
Yeah, 5 of the 6 outs have been ground ball outs.
A little bit low, ball 1. Navarro playing kind of the same role that Chris Parmelee plays for the Twins. Sometime first baseman, sometime outfielder. Getting a chance to play first. Giving Pujols a DH day. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Speed pitch missing. The August numbers for Gibson: 6 starts, 2 wins, 2 losses, an ERA of 5.19, about a half run higher than his ERA in July. And he and the Twins would like for him to finish strongly this year in September. 3-1.
Looks like tonight, Dick, he's throwing nice and easy. He's got some good movement on his pitch, especially that sinker. Not trying to overthrow, and that will come with starts.
Tapped up the line, just foul, 3-2.
Even that pitch right there on a 3-1 pitch just had a little bit of movement, let the hitter get themselves out.
And I think that's something that he and every other sinker baller has to overcome. The resisting the urge to muscle the ball up there and overthrow when in fact you need to do just the opposite.
Let the ball really sink, and that's when he's on. He'll get a lot of ground ball outs. There's another one.
And Dozier flips to first. And Gibson comes back from 3-1 to get Navarro on a ground out. Tonight's Cold Hard Fact brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. And against right-handed starters, the Angels are 21 games over 500. And one of those wins against Gibson earlier this year in Anaheim. There's Don Baylor, part of your our 87 World Championship Twins.
You're right, there were ours.
Baylor still talks about the incredible response the fans gave the team in late September and through October. Went to the World Series 3 straight years for 3 different teams. Boston in '86 and had to suffer the heartbreak of that World Series loss. The thrill of '87, and then he was with Oakland in '88 when the Dodgers upset them. 1 strike to Conger, and now a ball. I think you said before, hot and muggy as it is, you were a sleeves guy, weren't you? Gibson's out there in long sleeves on a really warm and muggy night.
Yeah, no, I did not wear sleeves.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I was sleeveless.
Poke to right, and Hicks will play it on a hop. A 1-out single for the number 9 batter.
Second hit for the Angels.
Plenty of fall baseball left here at Target Field. Suites are available for single game rental for groups of 16 to 96. Choose from Premier Suites, the flexible event suites, or the very spacious Skyline Suites. And coming to a Twins game, an extra special experience by renting a private suite for an upcoming September game. You can call 833-TWINS or visit twinsbaseball.com.
Calhoun had a little comebacker back to Gibson. First hitter that Gibson faced.
Conger took off on the pitch and it was lifted foul.
You know, he talked about the sleeves, Dick, and a hot, humid night. I pitched in Texas. I really enjoyed pitching in that type of weather.
Really?
It loosens you up so quickly. Once you get through the first 2 or 3 innings, I think we talked about this before, you kind of lose a lot of that extra water in your system. And
Runner goes again.
Nicely. Nice throw.
A hit and run that requires the batter to at least make contact. Calhoun did not. And Conger was dead meat at second base.
Good strong throw by Suzuki. Conger, you know, has not attempted a stolen base. You see him looking in right there. It's caught for the second out.
And now Calhoun with 2 strikes. Roller to third, easy play for Plouffe. Another good inning for Kyle Gibson. He's faced 10 men and set the Angels down through 3 innings and 26 pitches. recovered after a couple of devastating injuries. You mentioned Tyler Skaggs, and then more recently Garrett Richards, done for the year. An awful stumble at first base.
Yeah, that left knee just gave way. He was 13-4 at the time, a 2.61 ERA, and he was pitching great baseball.
Danny Santana leading things off. Coaches, managers in any sport, they can say all they want. Hey, next man in and all that. But that's exactly what the Angels have done. If anything, they've pitched better through the adversity they've had, the injuries they've had, than they were pitching before. Now, it does create a bit of an issue for them. They're apparently on Saturday going to have kind of a bullpen day, as they did a few days ago. Rasmus is going to start. They hope to get 3-4 innings from him and then open up the doors to the bullpen and try to win a ball game that way.
Yeah, and that ball game there you're talking about, they used 8 different pitchers in that ball game to get the win over the Oakland A's.
Not exactly how you want to, pitch your games in September, but the Angels don't feel comfortable with anyone else in the system. A starter, 1-2 to Danny Santana. And he swings over a breaking ball.
Hard breaking ball there too, and Santiago picks up his second strikeout, both of them being Danny Santana. Great location of this breaking ball, down and in, and Santana swinging through it. Yeah, that's why the Angels, I mentioned, after the All-Star break, they're 2.88 as a pitching ball club, starters and relievers combined. But starts like this from Santiago are so important because you have Weaver, you have Wilson, you have a couple horses on your club, but you need that third, fourth guy.
Into short right field. Kendrick is out. He'll yield to Calhoun. Dozier quickly retired, out number 2. Matt Shoemaker, the rookie of the month, pitcher of the month, and he'll start tomorrow against Ricky Nolasco in game 2. Mauer, the batter, with 2 quick outs here in the third.
There's Shoemaker right there with the beard.
Looking forward to seeing him pitch. Mauer with a bouncer to second, his first time up. Strike 1. Twins have pitching issues. The Angels are in first because of their pitching. The Twins have allowed 125 more runs than the Angels have this year. 1-1. That's a lot of runs. And so you think, well, they've got a nice rotation and a nice bullpen, and it's been pretty stable. It's been anything but. They've used a franchise record 30 pitchers, the Angels have this year.
Trying to find that right combination.
Dealing with injuries, and they've had bullpen issues. Right now, the bullpen, probably the best bullpen Mike Scioscia's had since he won the World Series in 2002. 2-1 to Mauer. And Ibar has a kick off his wrist and into left field. Mauer should get a 2-out single. Not hit particularly hard, but Ibar tried to make a backhanded play and couldn't.
That's kind of a do or die right there for Ibar. He takes that hop, and you can see it came up a little bit further than he anticipated. Very sure-handed at short.
Vargas, the batter.
There's Houston Street coming over from the San Diego Padres, and he's done a great job as now their closer.
Vargas with a fly to center, his first time up. Fouled away, 1 strike.
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing Cam Pedrosian pitch.
Another link to a world championship team here.
Yes, and Steve Pedrosian was part of the '81 World Series team here in Minnesota.
91.
Or 91, excuse me.
1 strike to Kenny Vargas.
Wow, Joe got a great jump.
And a roller that will get Mauer trapped off second, but he dives back. Vargas will get an infield hit. Kendrick cut across in front of Ibar, then Ibar fielded it. Mauer, anticipating that ball might go into center field, was going to try to go first to third on that single, but then Ibar cut it off.
Yeah, look at the jump that Joe had right there. They were not paying any attention to him. And it's Ibar that slides to get the ball. Foot race. Joe wins.
It was a heck of a base running play by Mauer. He was going to go first to third, and the ball rolled into center, but out of the corner of his eye, he saw Ibar scoop it up, slammed on the brakes, and got back to the bag. The inning's still alive when it looked like he might make the third out. There's Plouffe and a scalding single off the base of the fence and left for the first Twins hit. Fouled back. He waited on the breaking ball and fouled it to the screen.
Trevor leading the Twins with 69 runs batted in.
It's another measure of how impactful Vargas has been. He doesn't have 150 at bats, and he's got almost half as many runs batted in as the team leader. Fouled back again. 2 strikes. A guy that big, a guy who doesn't run that well, Vargas has got an awful lot of infield hits. Two strikes to Plouffe.
See if they go back to that hard breaking ball, same one that struck out Santana. They tried it, but Plouffe laid off.
This was a chance to break the ice in the second. They left the bases full, and now with 2 outs, they've created another scoring opportunity. One and 2 to the Twins' third baseman. And hits him in the hip, and he gets a friendly bounce and retires Plouffe at first. Twins have left 5 men on through 3 scoreless innings.
Already.
Trout is a different kind of animal. The speed he possesses, the athletic ability he brings, the way he's able to run the bases, this guy is the whole package.
He is a 5+ player.
Maybe one of the best players in all of baseball. And he's only 23 years old.
Yeah, so immensely talented and so young. Trout will lead off the 4th against Gibson. Lined out to Hicks. his first time up. 98 runs batted in. And Trout, assuming he gets there, will be the youngest Angel ever to drive in 100 runs over the course of the season.
He drove in 97 last year.
2-0. Gibson fell behind 3-1 to the leadoff batter in the third. Efren Navarro came back to get him on a ground ball.
And the Angels did the right thing too. They signed Trout to a long-term contract. They have him signed through 2020. When you think about that, I mean, he'll still only be 28 years old when he becomes a free agent if they don't re-sign him again. But the sky's a limit for this young man right here. He's good for the game.
3-1. Check swing and a leadoff walk. Pujols coming to the plate with Trout's speed at first. Carsoup.com trivia: who are the only two Angels players to win the American League MVP award? We'll let you ponder that. I know one right away, and I bet you I can come up with the other one here pretty soon too. Pujols bounced to short his first time up.
Well, Gibson's been getting some ground ball outs.
Breaking ball hits the corner, and you can see why he's tough to steal on with that slide step. Barely gets his spikes out of the dirt and then strides forward.
Yeah, with Contra getting thrown out, there have been 4 throwouts, 6 successful steals against Gibson, so 10 overall. He does have 1 pickoff.
Chopped foul, 2 strikes. Pujols having a productive year. Let's see, 23 times Pujols has bounced into a double play.
Yeah, Gibson's been able to get 18 double plays turned behind him.
Two strikes to the Angels slugger. Hooks it foul.
And Trout not stealing the bases that he did in his rookie season and last year. In his rookie season a couple years ago, he stole 49 bases. Last year, 33 bases. So far this year, 13 in 15 attempts. Might have a lot to do with who's behind you. With Pujols, we saw that in Baltimore. They don't run a lot because of their lineup that can hit the ball out of the ballpark very quickly. We're just told that Pujols doesn't like guys running in front of him. Just that maybe he doesn't like to see that runner take off. So maybe that has kind of shut down Trout a little bit. You can see the focus that he has, Pujols. What a great player he's been.
Chopper foul. Now I've heard of that. Hitters talk about a runner at second base. They don't want the runner at second base running from behind the pitcher, and you're trying to focus on the release point. But I've heard too many hitters complain about a runner at first taking off.
Well, you know what? I mean, you look at Trout. He does not have the stolen bases he's had the last couple of years. Pujols been injured the last couple of years.
Another 0-2 coming to Pujols. And he strikes him out.
And Gibson picks up his first strikeout. Good breaking ball down and away.
That'll bring up Josh Hamilton.
Good location on this breaking ball. And Pujols swinging through it. Out of his reach.
Hamilton with a bouncer to short his first time up. To put a pull shift on for Hamilton.
Angels do not run a lot. They used to have all those jackrabbits. They have a lot of stolen bases. 68 stolen bases on the year. They've been caught 32 times.
Inside, ball one.
Back in April, Hamilton ended up having left thumb surgery. Missed about 2 months. He's in his second season with the Angels.
And missing inside again, 2-0. The Twins have actually stolen more bases than the Angels have, but a lot of that is Jordan Schaefer's addition, Danny Santana being called up to the big league club. Players that weren't with the Twins coming out of spring training. 2-0. 3-0 with Howie Kendrick on deck. Gibson with 7 walks in his last 2 starts, covering 9 2/3 innings coming into play tonight. 3-0. Hamilton likely green lighted here. And he takes low, ball 4. The Angels threatening here with some control issues. Gibson in the 4th.
7 pitches in the first, 8 in the second, 12 in the third, and so far 14 pitches here in the 4th, and got a ball to be put into play.
Folks, bring the kids to the Twins game Sunday in September and receive a special coupon offer from Crystal Farms. Kids 14 and under can get an autograph from a Twins player before the game, and run the bases after the game concludes courtesy of Gillette Children's Specialty Health Care. Call 800-33-TWINS or visit twinsbaseball.com to get your tickets.
Now you're cutting that like it's almost a coupon itself.
Just had to check my scissors, make sure it was working. First and second, 1 down, and Kendrick drives it to left. Heading back is Schaefer, and he'll play it off the wall. The Angels will get the first run. Trout scoring, the throw going, and there's nobody at second base. And another run will score, and the ball will roll into the dugout. The throw from Schaefer was towards second base, and no one was there, and it rolled all the way across the diamond and into the Twins dugout.
Yeah, a little mix-up right there. One of the infielders, maybe Dozier, has to be at second base. Nunez going out as a cutoff man. And Mike Scioscia maybe asking exactly how far do they get to advance, how many bases. That ball came running in on Kendrick. He opened up quickly, hit it over the head of Schaefer. And with the runners at first and second, Trout scores from second base. Hamilton goes to third. The throw to second base, nobody there. It rolls all the way into the dugout of the Twins.
Well, the Twins were setting up the cutoff for a play at home, I guess. But the throw, Schaefer seemed to be the right throw to make to second base. Holding Kendrick maybe to a single, keep the double play in order. So a mix-up to be sure. Infield in with the Angels leading 2-0. And down low a ball.
Well,
What are they scoring that?
They're scoring that an RBI double and then an error on Schaefer.
All right. 1 out. And the 2 walks have already come around to score. Flared down the line, and Schaefer will have no play. 1-1.
Yeah, on that play, I really don't know where Brian Dozier is going. He was out with Nunez in short left field.
I'm trying to figure that out. I don't. Tough error for Schaefer because I think he made the smart play throwing it to second base. And coming home with Ibar swinging away. Looked like the hitter missed a sign there. It wasn't a suicide squeeze. It was a suicide swing away.
Yeah, Gary DiSarcina, the third base coach. That's supposed to be a safety squeeze or maybe even a squeeze itself. Ibar kind of looking at DiSarcina. Definitely a mix-up.
Gibson can use a strikeout or a ground ball hit at somebody. 1-2 to Eric Ibar. The irony of what just happened is Ibar is one of the best bunters in the league. He's got 10 bunt hits. Something that comes a second nature to him, but it sure looked like either he missed the sign or Kendrick misread a sign. 2-2. Foul. Alfredo Griffin.
He didn't miss too many when he played.
In his day, he acted oftentimes like he didn't really need a glove. He had such soft hands, and he still has the hands without the glove. Co-American League Rookie of the Year winner with John Castino back in the late 70s. A weird inning for Gibson. A couple of walks. They've already scored. 2-2 to Ibar. The foul.
A lot of pitches this inning. So far 21 pitches for Gibson. The 2 walks end up scoring.
Another 2-2 pitch. And that's a foul ball. Mauer made the catch, was ready to make the out. And Kendrick was ready to score the 3rd run of the inning. Ibar strikes out about 1 every 10 times, but he's a pretty stubborn hitter here.
You see Joe Mauer catching that in foul territory.
I should say strikes out about 1 every 20 times. Another 2-2. Driven to right, and it's 3-0. Great at bat for Ibar, the all-star shortstop.
It's his 2nd hit off of Gibson, driving in a run, his 59th of the year, as Kendrick scores to make it a 3-0 Angels lead.
Rick Anderson to the mound. A veteran professional at bat for Eric Ibar. Gibson has given the Angels a couple of walks, now a couple of hits. 3 runs on the board, a quick trip to the mound by the Twins pitching coach. David Freese will be the batter.
Gibson making his 3rd career start against the Angels. He made 10 starts last year in a call-up. His first here, although both his first 2 starts were in Anaheim.
Hoping to make 1 good pitch here, maybe get the ground ball double play to get Twins off the field here in the top of the 4th.
And Ibar the most stolen bases for the Angels with 14, but he's been caught 9 times. Freese in his first season with the Angels, coming over from the St. Louis Cardinals in a trade that brought Peter Borges to the Cardinals.
There goes Ibar, and the pitch hit past Plouffe down into the left field corner. Ibar rounding second on his way to third. He's going to score, and it's a 4-0 game. The Angels have tried to force the issue here a number of different plays. Hit and run that didn't work in the third inning, squeeze play, or something that didn't work earlier this inning. And now leading 3-0, sending the runner. Freese cracks a double, and it's 4-0.
Well, you got to pitch up right there and take a look at where that location, right down the heart of the plate. Freese pulling this ball past Plouffe into that left field corner, and with Ibar's speed, he scores from first base. So Freese picking up an RBI, his 42nd of the year.
2 walks, 3 straight hits. And here is Navarro. Because of what has happened after the error, all the runs here are earned runs. 1-0 to Navarro. Hit a bouncer to Dozier his first time up.
You know, Twin starters have had a terrible time this year of damage control. If there was one thing I would look back and see, is how many 3-run innings or more that the starting staff has allowed this year. It's not 1 here, 1 there. It's been 3 here, 4 here, 5 here.
And just about everybody this side of Phil Hughes has contributed to that. Gibson's poor starts have almost all featured a big inning. Against the Angels earlier this year was a 5-run first inning. 1-2. Twins are not going to send Tommy Milone to the mound on Saturday. They're going to skip a start with Milone. Got some fatigue in his left shoulder. 1-2 to Navarro. The most likely candidate to start Saturday's game for the Twins is Logan Darnell. And if I have said,
I believe it's Sunday. Yeah,
it is Sunday. Saturday Phil Hughes is going. I said right. Saturday, and so that is all in place unless Darnell is needed out of the bullpen tonight or tomorrow. Another 3-ball count. 3-2 to Navarro.
Well, isn't Saturday the day that the Angels are?
The Angels are going to have a bullpen.
Well, that's what we should do. Let Hughes pitch on Sunday. That way, all the bullpen guys can pitch on Saturday.
We'd have a 7-hour game.
Where do you have to go?
Saturday night? Let's see. Tapper foul. Gibson, who sailed through 3 innings. Now the pitch counts up to 57 already. This inning, 30 of them.
And Navarro, 28 years old. This is his 3rd season with the Angels. 4 different stints this season. He ended up being a September call-up. Started the season down in AAA. Hit .326 in 72 games in Salt Lake, their AAA affiliate.
Tapper right side. Maurer will go to the bag. Freese will go to third base. The second out. Took a while, but now it's on the board, and the number 9 batter, Conger, comes up. Anthony Swarzak, first arm to warm up out in the bullpen. Conger singled, leading or with 1 out in the 3rd inning, and then was thrown out on a stolen base attempt that looked more like a hit and run attempt. Gibson from the full windup. Hook to the right field corner and foul. Angels scored 4 runs in their 2 losses in Houston, and they've erupted for 4 here in the 4th inning against Kyle Gibson.
All starting with that leadoff walk to Trout.
Outside 1-1.
Chris Iannetta also doing a very good job behind the plate, offensively having a better year than Conger, but it's Conger here tonight catching Santiago. Conger.
1-1. And again falling behind now 2-1. When they could, the Angels called up 11 players. 11. And a lot of red jerseys and caps in that dugout. You brought up a good point. I wonder in the visiting clubhouse here at Target Field whether they've had to double up on any lockers.
They said their traveling party was 72 on the plane.
3-1. Gibson really struggling here in the fourth. And now 3-2. The ability to make a pitch when the heat is on. We've seen Santiago make some of those pitches in each of the last 2 innings. He left the bases full in the second. Twins got a couple of singles with 2 outs in the third, but Santiago made a pitch, got Plouffe out. Full count to the number 9 batter. Dozier to his right into the slide. Good play to end a bad inning. 4 runs for the Angels. Stay tuned for this important message from Mesh, Besher, and Spence. Bad inning all around for the Twins and a misplay in the middle of the infield. Molitor talking it over with Dozier and Mauer.
Yeah, Gardy right there making sure who was there to back up. I think Joe Mauer had to follow Kendrick to second base because for some reason Dozier went out. I don't quite understand why. Because Plouffe becomes the cutoff man if there's a throw home.
Well, but see, I wonder whether Plouffe isn't supposed to stay at third because there are base runners in the vicinity.
Right. Take a look right here. Plouffe stays right there. Now, you see Nunez go out, and then Dozier's the trailer, and then nobody there. And Joe's in the middle of the infield.
Well, it was a bad play in the middle of a bad inning, and now Suzuki, Nunez, and Hicks will hit in the fourth. Santiago's out there having been given now a 4-run lead. Suzuki takes ball 1. Single to center his first time up.
Yeah, Kirk got a breaking ball down and lined it up the middle for a base hit. Twins have left 5 men on in the first 3 innings.
Inside 2-0. Seattle's jumped all over Texas tonight in Arlington. They lead it 9-0. Oakland is idle. Twins trying to be a factor in the American League West and the wild card race. Not in the manner in which they'd prefer, but now these games suddenly again have playoff implications. The two with the White Sox did not. Be interest all around baseball in the Angels-Twins games this weekend. There's a strike called 3-1. And the Twins go to Cleveland, where again, very important, impactful games. 3-1 to the leadoff man in the fourth. The Angel fourth inning started with a walk, and by inning's end they had opened the game up 4-0. Nunez on deck.
Santiago has one walk, a couple strikeouts. He's given up 4 hits, all singles.
Hit hard to center, but ranging back is Trout for the out. One down. And before Nunez stands in, time now for you to tweet a photo using hashtag NorthFanPhoto. A chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Nunez in an RBI spot. Twins had runners at second and third and one out. Nunez jumped on the first pitch and he nearly chopped it down the line for a 2-run hit. Navarro intercepted it, knocked it down, kicked it around a little bit, but recovered in time to A, get Nunez at first, and B, keep Plouffe from scoring from third. Strike one.
Yeah, Nunez having a great day in yesterday's ball game against the White Sox. Picked up 4 hits. Second time in his career he had a 4-hit game.
Jam shot off the mound. Santiago over to Navarro. 2 down. And it'll bring up Aaron Hicks. Join Fox Sports North and the Minnesota Wild for the breakaway 10K, 5K, and 1-mile run Saturday, September 20th, benefiting the Minnesota Wild Foundation. All participants receive a t-shirt and a pre-sale opportunity to purchase Wild single game tickets. For more info, visit foxsportsnorth.com. Click on the More tab for details. Here's Hicks. Drew a walk to fill the bases in the second inning. Popped up down the right field line. Calhoun has a long run, but he is there. And Santiago has a 1-2-3 fourth inning.
Start the 5th inning at Target Field. It also means we're in the Minnesota Lottery winner's circle. We have $100 worth of scratch-off tickets. They are for Charles and Nancy, who are from Bath, South Dakota. That's just east of Aberdeen by about 5 miles. And they are here celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. Their anniversary is today. And Charles, I asked you to come up with the key to 60 years of a good marriage. And what is that?
There's several of them. One, we had more arguments before we were married than we had since. And God's blessed us with 4 wonderful family.
You have a great family. You're tearing up on us, Charles. Well, Dick and Bert, they could have had a nice candlelit dinner. Instead, they're here at Target Field enjoying this with their family. Congratulations on 60 years, guys.
And thank you. Thank you very much. And Bert, I love you.
Oh, well, thank you. I love you, too. Happy 60th.
Ball game.
Oh, well, thank you.
Your gift from Bert is a big circle tonight.
You're my circle. Yep.
Cole Calhoun leading off the 5th. 1 strike and now a ball.
I guess we don't like to say these are learning experiences for Kyle Gibson, but you know, this is his 37th major league start. Now his job is to keep it where it is, to continue to put zeros on the board, something that we have not seen consistently out of the staff.
Santana going back, making the catch, 1 away. And that'll bring up Mike Trout. Tarsoup.com trivia question. Don Baylor did it. And who was the other one? Vladimir Guerrero, 2004.
That's right. And all we needed was 1. So ding, 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 ding.
Now, we got like 130 telecasts we've done, something like that. 130 questions. How many correct answers do you think we've had? Are we still?
Well, probably about 160.
So we're covered for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and going into next year.
1 down. Mike Trout drew a walk by the end of the inning. 4 runs.
Told no carryover.
No carryover to next year. Says who?
People in charge.
1-1 to Trout. Pitch number 70 coming up for Gibson. Had such an efficient first 3 innings and then a real mess in the 4th. Hard ground ball. Nice stop by Plouffe. And he can't get a handle on the ball. Trout flying down the line might have beaten it out anyway.
Well, Trevor knew he had only 1 play, and that was to try to throw it from his knees, but in the exchange, the ball slipping out of his hand. Nice grab, though. Probably saved only a base hit. It's an infield base hit. Would have been an extra base hit if this ball gets by him. And Trevor reaching out, and then right there, watch the exchange. Just, you see the ball flipping out.
Here is Pujols, a bouncer to short and a strikeout. So a breaking ball and a foul ball. Tigers teed off on Trevor Bauer. They got 4 runs in the 1st. Now the Indians trying to come back in the 6th. It's 4-1 Detroit, bottom of the 6th at Progressive Field.
Well, Bauer did that here against the Twins. Remember, he gave up runs early,
right.
and then he pitched very well after that. And that's what Kyle Gibson needs to do here. Keep it at 4-0.
Plouffe gets this one out at second, relay to first, double play, and around the horn double play. Couple of hot ground balls near the 3rd base bag. Plouffe starts a 5-4-3 inning-ending double play.
Another nice play by Plouffe.
New kickstart fan of the game. Young lady high-fiving another fan. Twins hoping to get on the board here in the 5th inning. Jordan Schaefer will lead things off. Then Danny Santana and Brian Dozier. This pitch fouled back. Schaefer came up with the bases loaded and 2 outs and hit a soft line drive pop up, something that made Ibar come over and then in a couple of steps to end the inning.
They got jammed a little bit. Runners were going, and Ibar ended up getting that final out on a 3-2 pitch.
2 strikes to Schaefer. Angels looking for their 84th win. The Twins looking for their 62nd win. 1-2.
Santiago, 26 years old, born in Newark, New Jersey, signed by the White Sox in 2006, and then traded over during the winter. Kind of had the same role with Chicago, kind of a spot starter here or there.
2-2.
He's had some success against the Twins, making his 4th career start against the Twins, his 8th appearance overall. 2 wins, 2 losses, very good 2.38 earned run average coming into this ball game.
And Jordan Schaefer fouls one away. For a while, the White Sox had so many lefties. They still had Burley. They had Danks. Pedro Hernandez, who was with Chicago before being dealt to the Twins, had this guy. Quintana, another one, yeah. Another 2-2 to Jordan Schaefer. Another foul ball.
Almost saw him by that angle right there. He's a left-hander that throws a little bit across his body, so you would think that lefties would have a tough time against him, and so far they have. There's the first half compared to the second half, and what a difference maybe that little break makes. Left-handers are hitting only .214 off of them coming into this ball game, and opponents hitting just .226 overall.
High fastball takes care of Schaefer. 1 away in the 5th.
Strikeout number 3 in the ball game for Santiago. Fastball up and in. After a couple breaking balls.
And now Danny Santana, who struck out twice.
Take a look at his follow through, stepping a little bit across his body.
From point A to point B, where he pushes off in the rubber and where he plants his foot, his angle is almost to the Twins on deck circle, not home plate at all. That's to the corner, and Santana's got a hit, and it'll get to the wall. Santana has an extra base hit. A 1-out double here in the 5th.
Yeah, Danny Santana, who had struck out twice against Santiago, wasn't fooling around. If he throws me a fastball, I'm going to be ready to swing. And he got that fastball and hits his 19th double of the year.
Ron Gardenhire talking about Santana, saying he really is a flat-footed hitter. And there really is no stride. There's a subtle weight shift from his back foot to his front leg. Take a look at his stance, and the feet never really move. Just a little toe tap. We saw Kirby Puckett, who turned his career around with a big leg kick. This is just the opposite. 1-0 to Dozier. And a strike.
A good change up there by Santiago.
Dozier with a bouncer to short and a fly ball to right.
It's an area he wants to improve in right there. You saw the runners in scoring position. Brian hitting only .216.
That's hit well to the left field corner.
That'll help.
Hard off the wall. Santana will score, Dozier digging for second, and the Twins have back-to-back doubles, and they do indeed get the next run.
For Brian Dozier, his 32nd double, like a breaking ball, kind of went right into the swing. Brian likes that ball in, somewhere where he can pull that ball, and it kind of fell right into that uppercut swing for Dozier. He lines it into the corner. Picking up RBI number 62 on the year.
It was almost halfway up the wall. That didn't miss carrying out of here by too much. Here's Mauer. Singled his last time up. Missing inside. And missing farther inside. 2-0, and Conger steps out in front of the plate, fires the ball back to Santiago.
Longest outing for Santiago came early in April when he went 7 innings. Other than that, he's usually 5-6 innings in that range. 70 pitches right now, 44 strikes.
Three and 0. Vargas on deck. Indians have scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th. It's 4-3 Detroit now. On the outside corner, 3-1. Three and 1 to Mauer. On the outside corner, 3-2. Ibar doing a little cat and mouse with Dozier at second base.
I think if Santiago had looked back one more time, that wheel play would have been put on. And Ibar now kind of goes back and says, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. Played a deeper short.
Full count. Vargas on deck. And Mauer takes a walk, and now Vargas comes to the plate, representing the tying run. An infield hit for Vargas in the 3rd inning, his 7th infield hit. Look at the run batted in, 31 in 32 games. I've never heard of Buzz Artlett or Jim Greengrass. Mandy Brooks, never heard of. The other guys, pretty notable guys.
They are some pretty good company. I think Mike Butcher, the pitching coach for the Angels, out to talk to Santiago.
It's nice having a guy like Vargas who can cause the pitching coach to go out to the mound and talk to his pitcher. I mean, this guy has immense power, and if you make a mistake, it's a tie ball game. Twins haven't had that presence in the middle of their lineup since, well, I guess Josh Willingham did it just a few years ago.
Right.
But it's not been a regular component of the Twins lineup. See what Vargas can get done here. Outside, ball 1. have already scored once in a pair of doubles. Now a walk has filled first base. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, first 2 pitches outside took something off that. Plunger sitting outside, the catcher. Twelve major league wins for Santiago, 17 major league losses. This is his 47th major league start, 103rd appearance.
One and one for the Twins DH. Ground ball hit right at Freeze. Kendrick at second. High throw, but back on the bag is Navarro, and Vargas rolls into an inning-ending double play. The Twins get one. It's a 4-1 ball game. Sons of Anarchy, premiering Tuesday, September 9th, only on FX. Twins get a couple of doubles. They're on the board in the bottom of the 5th, now to the 6th. It's a 4-1 ball game. Angels getting a couple of walks, taking advantage of a Twins error, stringing 3 hits into a bunch that scored 4 runs in the 4th inning.
Well, Kyle Gibson, a quick top of the 5th inning, only 8 pitches needed. Nice turn of a double play to get him out of that inning, starting his 6th inning with 72 pitches.
Hamilton, Kendrick, and Ibar in the Angel 6th.
11 ground ball outs, only 2 fly ball outs for Gibson.
Strike one. Mentioned the Angels have been out of postseason play 4 years in a row. Twins have been out for 3 years coming into this year. The Angels have had some struggles. The ball beating the shift with Hamilton just rolling the ball softly into left field, and it's a leadoff hit for Josh Hamilton. These two teams, perennial playoff entrants in the last decade.
Good sinker, good movement, but you can see where Plouffe is playing at short, so nobody there.
Kendrick, who cracked the double to left field. Schaefer threw the ball to second base, but there was no one there, and the ball rolled all the way through the infield and into the Twins dugout.
Yeah, what Kendrick did, he opened up very quickly on that sinker inside. See how they work him here. Suzuki sits away, which he is.
Ball one.
Those are the adjustments you have to make. If you see a guy open up very quickly, means maybe he's sitting on that. So let's go away and watch him react, how he's up at the plate. That wasn't really a bad pitch, but Kendrick, credit him. He opened up quickly, got the barrel of the bat out, hit that double into the corner.
Very close. Gibson turning and firing, and Hamilton just got back.
Kendrick always a good hitter, though. This is his 9th season with the Angels, career .292 hitter.
Want to know to Kendrick. Suzuki looking for a long time into the Twins dugout. We'll see if they want to throw over. Swing and a miss, 1-1.
On a pitch away, not the same swing. Kendrick gives Torrey Hunter a lot of credit when Torrey was with the Angels of teaching him the game of baseball, how to play it on a daily basis. Kendrick making the All-Star team for the Angels back in 2011.
Missing down and in, and it's 2-1.
Hamilton not really a threat to take off. 3 stolen bases in 5 attempts. Mike So should do more of the hit and run with Kendrick than maybe a straight steal.
Two and one to Kendrick. Gibson's faced 3 batters in 3 of the 5 innings.
Sarcina going through signs at third.
Hamilton goes, didn't get a good jump at all. It's 2-hopper to Plouffe.
Yeah, definitely a hit and run put on right there. Kendrick bouncing out to Plouffe.
Hamilton at second, 1 down. Saturday, it's an MLB doubleheader. The Giants taking on the Tigers. Both teams hoping to keep pace in the playoff races. Then the Central leading Royals taking on the Yankees. A game you can only see on Fox Sports 1. All begins Saturday at 11:30 Central on Fox and continues at 3 p.m. Central on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. And then we have game 3 of this series in the evening. So a lot of baseball. Here's Ibar, a couple of singles against Gibson. Down and away, ball 1. Thing that we talked about, the speed in the outfield, and that might come into play here, but also to the arm strength in the outfield, with the Twins lining up Schaefer, Santana, and Hicks across the outfield. All 3 of them very fast runners, and all 3 have above average arms. Mauer with a nice pickup. Gibson to the bag. Out number 2, and Hamilton goes to third. Good play by Mauer. Getting the ground ball almost over the first base bag.
Yeah, Joe playing at deep first base, and he has to go to his left. Plays it nicely and then flips it to the pitcher covering the bag. So Ibar beating the ball into the ground. Another ground ball out for Gibson.
Hamilton at third, 2 down, and David Freese drove in a run with a double. Ibar was at first, took off on the pitch, and Freese hit a double to left, and Ibar was able to score.
Yeah, Freese in his last at bat jumped on that first pitch. It kind of hung right over the plate to hit that double. It's maybe what Suzuki went out to talk to him about.
Over the inside corner, strike 1.
Saw Freese kind of jump back.
Gibson from the full windup with a runner at third. Tap foul, 2 strikes. Thompson warming up earlier. Anthony Swarzak was starting to get loose back in the 4th inning. This will be the 85th pitch for Gibson. One and 2.
Yeah, by my account, both bullpens, the Angels and the Twins, have 12 relievers.
I got 12 on the Twins side, and I only have 11 on the other side, but
it's close enough.
Plenty of them.
A lot of arms out there.
On the ground, Dozier gobbles up the second hop, ends the inning. Hamilton left at third, and it's still 4-1.
Fox Sports North is brought to you by Toyota. The annual clearance event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by McDonald's, where a French vanilla McCafe iced coffee is just $1.59 all summer long.
Trying to mount another rally against Hector Santiago. They scored in the 5th, down by 3. Plouffe will lead things off, ball 1. Twins were set down in order in the 1st and in the 4th inning, but in the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th, scoring opportunities. Twins have had their chances. They just have scored the 1 run so far, and now 2-0 to Plouffe.
Yeah, this is also the area of the ball game that usually Santiago starts to maybe tire a little bit. Again, he's only gone 7 innings once, and that back on April 16th.
In front of the changeup, 2-1.
His last start coming on August 27th against the Miami Marlins. He got the win. He went 5 2/3 innings, only allowed 1 run. The Angels won that game 4-1.
3-1. Suzuki on deck. And a walk to lead off the 6th.
3rd walk of the ball game for Santiago.
Students, you can get the school year off to a great start if it hasn't done so already for you. Pay a visit to Target Field for Student Night presented by Rasmussen College. Standing room only tickets are just $5 for students on Wednesday, home games in September. Student night tickets are available day of game only at the Target Field box office. Limit 1 ticket per student with a valid student ID from any school in Twins territory. Now, the boundaries of Twins territory are frankly a little vague. You know, we know it's North and South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, some areas of Wisconsin. You come here, if you got a student ID from Montana and want to get in for $5, I'm guessing they'll let you in for $5.
There are a lot of fans in Montana.
1-1 to
Wyoming.
Suzuki. Suzuki with a single in the 2nd, a fly ball to center in the 4th inning. Foul away. Indians have tied it up against the Tiger bullpen. It's 4 apiece going to the 8th inning. 4 games separating 2nd place Detroit from 3rd place Cleveland. Jason Grilli started the year in Pittsburgh, been added to the bullpen staff that has evolved into one of the league's best now. 1-1 to Suzuki. Swing and a miss, and Plouffe will steal 2nd. With Suzuki as about as good a batsman as the Twins have, looked like he swung through a hit and run opportunity.
Conger not happy at that throw right there. Plouffe kind of a delayed steal. And the throw low to Kendrick. He got away from him. Plouffe will get a stolen base. And for Trevor, his 2nd of the year.
1-2 to Suzuki. Even down by 3 runs, the Twins put a play on. Santiago stoically looking in for a sign. Now he gets to the set. Fouled back. Twins had the bases loaded, 2 outs in the 2nd, didn't score. 1st and 2nd, 2 outs in the 3rd, didn't score. A couple of 1-out doubles, scored a run, and the Twins had 1st and 2nd, 1 out, and Santiago got Vargas to bounce into a double play. One and two to Suzuki. Sharply hit and a hop over the glove of Freese. Plouffe to 3rd. He'll hold up there. And now Nunez comes to the plate representing the tying run with nobody out.
Yeah, Suzuki waited back nicely and hit this ball sharp, leader. And Freese, see a ball come up on him.
He's hit for Suzuki.
Yeah, for Suzuki, his 2nd hit.
And now Nunez 0 for 2. Came up with runners at 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Nearly drove in a pair of runs with a hit down the right field line, but Navarro cut the ball off, made a play for the out. Twins trying to get some damage done here with the bottom of their order, and that's been one of the good things to see through August and now into September. More production from the final 3 and 4 hitters in the lineup. Outside ball 1. Started actually going back to July when we saw Sam Fuld typically hitting ninth. Kind of an on-base machine for the Twins. Schaefer's picked up where Fuld left off. And now 2-0. Might very well be Santiago's last batter. Mike Scioscia well aware of Hicks's history with Santiago, including a couple of home runs. Good spot to be in if you're Eduardo Nunez. 2-0.
Look for a pitch you can drive somewhere.
Driven to left center field. Trout got a late break and gone. A home run for Nunez.
He got the pitch he could drive.
And the Twins have tied it up here in the 6th. Needing just a home run yesterday to complete the cycle. He hits a home run in a better spot here.
Good extension right there into the bullpen for Nunez. His 4th home run of the year. And all 4 of them have been hit here at Target Field. So when Gibson gave up the 4 runs, I said, hold him right there. You might get back into the ball game, and the offense have helped him out. Big 3-run home run.
First time that Santiago's given up 4 runs in a game since July 5th. And the Twins have overcome an early 4-0 deficit to tie it here in the 6th.
Eduardo Nunez hitting a 3-run home run, tying the game at 4 apiece. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
A brand new ball game. Aaron Hicks will hit as a left-handed batter against right-hander Jason Grilli.
Yeah, Grilli getting traded over to the Angels back on June 27th. Angels are his 7th different team to pitch for. Came up with the Marlins back in 2000. Good sinking fastball. Really good slider for Grilli, making his 32nd appearance.
Ernesto Frieri went to the Pirates. And Hicks nearly took the cap off of Grilli on his first pitch. And Hicks is aboard as the go-ahead runner, nobody out.
Fastball right there. Letter high. And Grilly tries to get out of the way. Watch out.
And now Jordan Schaefer. Frieri was struggling as the Angels closer. Grilly was off to a bad start with the Pirates this year. They swapped pitchers. Grilly's stabilized his season with the Angels. See if Schaefer bunts here. There's a good bunt. That might be a base hit. Kendrick fires. Oh, what a play. Howie Kendrick with a great play to retire Jordan Schaefer at first base.
That's exactly where a speedster like Schaefer wants to bunt the ball past the pitcher towards second base, but Kendrick comes in, barehands it, and then a quick throw over to first. Navarro. Very nice defensive play. He's not playing back all the way. It allows him to come in and flip it quickly for the first out.
Schaefer will get a sacrifice, but you can see Kendrick going to first base. If the bunt had been up the line, forcing Navarro to field the ball, then Kendrick was covering the bag. He had to make an adjustment and track the bunt that was bunted more towards him than Navarro. Santana the batter. Ball one. Go ahead run in scoring position. Santana doubled to left his last time up as a right-handed batter.
As a left-handed hitter, hitting .326.
Strike called 1-1. Hicks trying to tease the veteran Grilly a little bit. Shuffling off toward third base. Grilly looks him back. Really one of the big plays here in this game, allowing the Twins to at least tie it up this inning. Conger's inability to throw out Plouffe on a missed hit and run.
Really wanting a new set of signs from Conger.
Fouled away by Santana. 1-2.
Really had an all-star year last year. He did make the National League all-star game team with the Pirates. Saved 33 games for the Pirates. This year just didn't work out. He had 11 saves for the Pirates, but a lot of blown save opportunities.
One and two to Santana. He's been around a long time. First year of professional baseball, 1998. Santana strikes out. First base is open. There needs to be a throw, and that will allow Hicks to move to third base. Santana's third strikeout, and that'll bring Dozier to the plate with the go-ahead run at third.
So that slider down and in, getting away from Conger. Conger able to get it and throw it to first, and Hicks advances to third.
Dozier backed up Santana's fifth inning double with one of his own, and the Twins were on the board.
Should be a wild pitch and a strikeout for Grilly. No wild pitch. Call it a fielder's choice.
Ball down the middle, a strike. Dozier pulling his double to the left field corner against Santiago. Dozier bluffing a bunt, and Hicks skittering down the line. 1-1. Had that been a fastball, Dozier might have tried to drop down a bunt, with Freese playing 2/3 of the way back in the dirt. Very good speed at third. The outside corner with a fastball. 1-2. These fans have already seen a nice comeback. Angels jumped out 4-0 in the fourth. Now the Twins have tied it in the sixth. Two and two.
Dozier's been stuck on 20 home runs for a while. Had 18 home runs before the All-Star break, only 2 after. Last home run coming in Oakland back on August 10th.
Right off the end of the bat. Lucky to make contact.
Good slider. Really has that good slider that just keeps breaking away from right-handers and right off the end of the bat.
See that, you can't help but think of Dozier's hit here a couple of years ago that was hit right off the end of the bat and spun 5 feet into the grass and came back fair for a hit. Another 2-2 pitch. Taken for ball 3. Mauer on deck. Full count to Dozier.
Does he go back to the slider again? He does.
And locked him up. Froze it. And Grilly picks up a couple of strikeouts to keep this a 4-4 game. The Twins tying it on Nunez's 3-run home run. Of the game in a tie game.
Couple big run innings. Angels took a 4-0 lead in the fourth inning off of Kyle Gibson. But the Twins able to come back. Freese right there getting an RBI double, making it 4-0 after a couple walks by Gibson. But the Twins come back with one in the 5th. Bernard back-to-back doubles by Santana and Dozier, and then Eduardo Nunez getting a pitch to his liking and hitting a 3-run home run.
How many times have we seen that? We saw it last night with Kenny Vargas. Counts 2-0. Guys are up there taking a little more aggressive hack. In each case, Vargas last night, Nunez tonight, home run that makes the pitcher pay for falling behind in the first place. Efrain Navarro leading off the 7th for the Angels against Kyle Gibson.
Yeah, been there, done that.
And now 2-0. Gibson had a strong 6th inning, stranded Hamilton at 3rd. Now the Twins have given him a reprieve. The Twins are at the plate for a long time in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, with today's game, this might be it for Gibson as far as the innings pitched. But he wants to put a 0 on the board, get a chance for a win.
Not a call there on the outside corner, 2-1.
14 ground ball outs, only 2 fly ball outs for Kyle Gibson. So the Angels beating a lot of outs into the ground.
Foul ball on the ground, 2-2. All 4 runs for the Angels, scoring in the 4th. Gibson walking 2 of the first 3 batters. Burton and Thompson warming up. On the ground, Mauer stays down. That ball almost skipped by him. 1 down.
Yeah, that ball took a little funny hop, and Mauer with that big glove able to corral it and get it to Gibson. So another ground ball out.
The most popular way to follow September pennant races is with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball, live look-ins, replay reviews, scores, stats, live radio broadcasts, and the MLB.TV game of the day and more. Get At Bat for your smartphone or tablet on the App Store or visit MLB.com. Conger, the batter. Outside, ball 1. Conger with a single was thrown out on a botched hit and run in 3rd. And then he bounced to Dozier in the 4th. Popped up. Plouffe tracking it. And nice play by Trevor Plouffe down the line, playing in as the only infielder on that side of the infield. And he had to reverse field and run about 75 feet.
Yeah, Schaefer and even his speed in left field didn't look like he was going to be able to catch up to this, and it's Plouffe that had to go into short left field and make a nice catch. See where Trevor's playing. He's playing in, kind of take the bunt away, and he goes back. Good concentration for the 2nd out.
5 in a row sent down by Gibson.
If this is Gibson's last inning, and right now he's at 93 pitches, I think he's pitched a whale of a ball game here tonight. You know, he just had that one bad inning, couple walks that kind of set up the inning, and then the RBI double and a couple 3 hits in a row for the Angels.
Fox Tracks presented by Dodge. If he gets Calhoun and finishes the 7th inning here, from Freese's RBI double in the 4th forward, he faced just 1 man over the minimum. And you're always talking about, okay, you've had a bad inning, can't do anything about it. Go out and give us some more good innings. And to this point, anyway, Gibson's done just that.
And keep your club in the game.
Right side, Dozier gobbles it up. Hey, 7 pretty good innings for Kyle Gibson. Chance to win a ball game here as he sets the Angels down in order in the 7th. 4th. A look now at the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to hashtag NorthFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. A group selfie.
Very nice.
Twins hoping to do some damage against this Angel bullpen that's been really good. Kevin Jepson relieving Jason Grilli to pitch to Mauer, Vargas, and Plouffe.
Yeah, Jepson has been pitching very well as of late in his 7th season with the Angels. Making his 67th relief appearance, only 37 hits allowed in 57 2/3 innings. He has walked 20, but he has struck out 67.
Mauer singled and walked in 3 trips to the plate. And Vargas and Plouffe.
Jepson, good fastball in the mid-90s. Big curveball and a changeup.
And a 97-mile-per-hour fastball. Strike 1. In a short period of time, the Angels have transformed their bullpen from a weakness to a strength.
Well, this is one guy that over the last 6 years, they've kind of had him go up and down between the big leagues and AAA, only because of his control problems. He has a great arm, but this year he's kind of corralled all that. Had some shoulder problems last year. Appeared in 45 ball games. Did some rehabbing. Putting a solid season together.
Ibar gets the first hop, picks himself up, fires, and Bauer retired. That's how Eric Ibar has made the All-Star team. Good play in the hole on a hot one-hop smash.
That's the second time that Joe has hit a hard smash to Ibar. Remember in his second at bat in the 3rd inning, the ball scooted over his glove. This time he caught it in the glove, got up quickly. Former Gold Glove winner makes a good throw for the first out.
Now Vargas 1 for 3. Infield hit in the 3rd. Last time up, Twins had scored and runners at 1st and 2nd with 1 out. Vargas hit into a 5-4-3 double play. Strike 1.
Yeah, there's the curveball. My son scouted for the Angels back in the early 2000s, and he had the opportunity to sign Jepson. Him telling me about his arm. He said he's got a great arm, just the control issue has not been there.
Another curve for a strike. 0-2.
Jepson 30 years old now, signed by the Angels, their number 2 pick back in 2002.
Fastball got him. 97. So 2 curves taken for strikes. And then he got Vargas to chase 2 down.
Well, the fastball had a little giddy up on it right there.
And now Plouffe singled off the fence in left in the 2nd. Hit one off the pitcher for an out in the 3rd, and then drew a leadoff walk when the Twins scored 3 times in the 6th. Bottom of the 9th in Cleveland. Detroit and Cleveland tied at 4. The end of the bat foul.
Well, you see what those leadoff walks can do. Is a leadoff walk to Mike Trout in that 4th inning that set up the 4-run inning against Kyle Gibson, and then the leadoff walk to Plouffe in the 6th inning, last inning, led to 3 runs for the Twins. Gibson 95 pitches, 60 for strikes.
Ball missing, 1-1. Fox Tracks presented by Carrier. Checked his swing, took a strike.
I know in today's game too, Dick, they go quality start of 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less, but I think, you know, he doesn't get it, but to me that's a quality start what Gibson did tonight.
Because he went that extra inning.
He went, you know, he shut the door after he gave up the 4 innings with a 4-run fourth.
Fastball off the plate, 2-2. Full count, Suzuki on deck. And Plouffe drew the walk in the 6th that eventually led to the Twins tying the game.
Fastball away.
Foul tip, and that takes care of Conger's mask.
I mean, 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and it comes faster off the bat. Wow. Square hit right into the mask.
Remember when Mike Redmond was the backup catcher here, and we'd always remark about why does he flinch? Well, it just seems like there's not a game that goes by that we aren't given visual evidence as to why catchers might flinch. The other day, Suzuki took one under the mask on the chin.
That was going to the breaking ball.
And Plouffe takes another walk. This one with 2 outs. Well, the Twins are going to send Plouffe to try to steal second.
I think he kind of did that on his own against Santiago. And he's not going to get that opportunity. As Eduardo Escobar will pinch run for Plouffe at first base. Something Gardy couldn't do in August.
Plouffe taking his 44th walk. Suzuki with a pair of hits. Hoping an extra base hit might put the Twins in front.
Escobar 1 stolen base in 2 attempts. What they're looking for is maybe a double right here off the bat of Suzuki and utilize Escobar's speed.
What speed the Twins have was in the starting lineup. Escobar the fastest pinch runner, but the rest of the bench players, well, Herman can run a little bit. Parmelee, Arcia, Fryer, Pinto, and Bernier. And I think you can hear some chatter from the Twins dugout. Hey, he's got to stop.
You can almost hear Gardy saying that's a balk. That's a big balk.
Jepson stops and the Angels pitch out. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think this is a base stealing pinch running move at all by the Twins. It's just simply putting somebody at first that has a better chance of scoring on a double. 1-0 to Suzuki.
Kurt Suzuki, 27 doubles on the year. A couple hits here tonight's ball game, both singles. About Escobar.
Escobar going to do a little ground repair.
I think the outfield playing a little bit deeper than normal too. They don't want a double hit over their head.
Inside 2-0. Another 2-0 count. Vargas clicked on a home run last night on 2-0. Nunez on a 3-run home run in the 6th inning on 2-0.
Judson's allowed 3 home runs.
Bouncer to third. Freeze has it. And the force play at second ends the bottom of the 7th inning. On to the 8th. Tied at 4.
In the game as the Twins go to their bullpen. Last night, A.J. Actor out of the pen made his major league debut. This was a 46th round draft pick number 1,395. He had a 1-2-3 9th inning against the White Sox last night, and Actor's mom and dad were here to see it. Cindy and Rod. Actor said after the game that his dad showed a lot of emotion, the most he's ever seen. He said, "My dad's a tough guy. I didn't expect to see that out of him." He also said his mom had beaten breast cancer earlier this year. So to have them in the stands and be able to witness his major league debut was a really big deal. And Dick and Bert, AJ said it was a whirlwind for him last night. It was awesome, but he said, "I'm also really glad it's over. And now I can move on to my second major league appearance."
You know, last night when I was leaving here, I saw his family there and congratulated on them and introduced myself to them. And right at that time, AJ walked out, so I congratulated him, and he gave his pops the biggest bear hug. Very, very happy man right there. Proud of his son. Not only for that, but being the man that he is.
Casey Fiend will come out of the pen here and pitch to the Angels in the 8th, starting with Mike Trout.
Yeah, Fiend making his 65th relief appearance. He worked here on Tuesday, just one shutout inning in that extra inning loss to the White Sox. He struck out a couple in only 12 pitches.
Escobar in the game at short. And Nunez over at third. Fly ball right field. Hicks retreating. Edge of the track, has it one away. It's set up for the Twins to get back to your point. Gibson going 7 innings, and now in a tie game, Fiend can go in the 8th. Whether the Twins have the lead or not, Perkins will go in the 9th if the game is still tied. And so just going that extra inning has allowed Ron Gardenhire to give the intermediate relievers, guys like Burton, Dunsing, a night off, at least unless we go into several extra innings. Pujols takes a strike 0 for 3 tonight. A couple of ground balls, one of them turned into a double play. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
And this guy always a threat when he's at the plate.
And the target was down and away. Fiend left it out over the plate. And Pujols picks up career hit number 2,496. He may get number 2,500 here in Minnesota.
Kind of Tommy hacked that ball into left field.
See where Suzuki's target was and led her high over the middle of the plate.
All those hits, 516 career home runs.
Josh Hamilton is grounded out, walked, and singled. His single right off the end of the bat when the Twins had a pull shift on and just slowly rolled into left field. Ball 1. .335 at bats on the season. Injuries have crippled Hamilton's year. 2-0. Hamilton's only bounced into one double play all year long. He lost part of his bat there on the ground ball, or maybe a thumb guard, something that was on the bat, came flying towards the Twins dugout.
Oh, again, he had surgery on that left thumb.
Yep.
Putting that guard on around that left thumb.
2-1. Strike call, 2-2.
Saw the Twins throw over to first base with Pujols. Now, you look how big he is, but he does have 5 stolen bases this year in 6 attempts. He's a guy that, will take that walking lead. If you don't pay any attention to him, he'll take off. Make him stop right there.
On the left field line, and Schaefer can't get there. Still 2-2.
Who's really good at that? Torrey Hunter did it for a while. That one year he just took off all the time. But Carlton Fisk was very good at that.
Really?
He was with the White Sox and Boston.
Oh, we've seen Joe Mauer just kind of get a walking lead and take off a few times.
I think we saw Plouffe earlier in this ball game do that. You don't pay any attention.
2-2 to Hamilton.
Fiend's been able to get 5 double plays turned behind him with him on the mound.
Bauer out at second, relay to first, not in time. And Hamilton again, just one double play grounder all season long, and he beats the relay 2 down. Fan Appreciation Weekend coming up September 19th through the 21st. The Indians are in town. Fans in attendance can win all kinds of great prizes and gifts on Friday and Saturday. Then on Sunday the 21st, the first 10,000 kids 14 and under will get a Joe Mauer growth chart. Visit twinsbaseball.com or call 800-33-TWINS for info and tickets.
Season winding down. This is game 140 for the Twins.
22 left then after today.
Very good. I was counting my fingers. Thanks for answering.
To center, down for a hit, and Hamilton thought about it, but he'll check in at second base. A 2-out single for Kendrick, and that'll bring up Ibar.
Yeah, Kendrick getting his second hit, jumping on that first pitch. He jumped on the first pitch in that RBI double in the 4th inning. That fastball that rode in on him.
Ibar with 2 hits in the ball game. Will hit with 2 on and 2 out. Ibar had a great at bat in that 4th inning. Kept fouling off pitches and finally drove an RBI single to right.
We said before, he struck out 53 times in 520 plate appearances, so a tough guy to strike out.
In this day and age, somebody who strikes out once every 10 times, it's like
hard to find.
Joe Sewell or Wee Willie Keeler has never struck out. To center, hit almost right at Santana.
Fiend sacrifice flies with 2 outs.
Fiend pitches a scoreless 8th.
Studio. Fox Sports supports Stand Up to Cancer. Tomorrow night, the Fox Sports North girls will be at the Poorhouse in Minneapolis for a Stand Up to Cancer telethon viewing party. For more information, visit standuptocancer.org/Fox Sports. And now back to Target Field.
Thank you, Jeff. Some business to conduct yet here tonight, though. A tie game, bottom of the 8th, and veteran right-hander Joe Smith coming into the ball game.
Well, you know what? The Angels were trying to improve their bullpen over the winter. Hey, they got a good one here in Joe Smith. You know, with the Cleveland Indians over the last 3 years prior to this season, he has been in 70 or more games as a reliever, now making his 67th relief appearance. Very good 2.07 ERA. He has 15 of the 39 saves, and he's basically their closer before they got Houston Street from the Padres. Only 42 hits allowed in the 65 of the 3rd innings. Only 12 walks, 2 intentional, 61 strikeouts.
Colin Cowgill in the game in left field for Josh Hamilton. Hamilton might have done something trying to beat that double play grounder out. It'll be Nunez who tied the game with a 3-run home run his last time up. Then Hicks and Schaefer facing Joe Smith, and we've said for years that's not his real name.
Not his real name. Sidearm, slinger, Joe Smith. Well, here it is. Nunez got the count in his favor, 2-0 against Hector Santiago. Puts it into the bullpen. And that tied the game at 4 apiece. Big 3-run home run.
1 strike to Nunez.
Twins have a lot of speed hitting here in the 8th inning, starting with Nunez. Another foul over the Angel dugout. Nunez runs well, Hicks runs well, Schaefer runs well, Santana runs well, Dozier. We'll see if that element of speed can get the Twins a go-ahead run here in the bottom of the 8th.
Sinking fastball, quick slider. They try to go fastball in.
Just hit him in the kneecap. 1-2. Waves at a breaking ball.
That's that quick slider.
1 down. Hicks coming to the plate. CenturyLink linked to what's next. The American League Pitcher of the Month, Rookie of the Month, Matt Shoemaker will go against Ricky Nolasco. Shoemaker had 7 decisions in August. How do you do that?
You start 7 times.
Here's Hicks. He's had a good day at the plate. A walk in the 2nd. Sharp single right up the middle against Grilly after Nunez had tied the game with a home run. And he takes ball 1. Twins hopeful that Hicks, with his 3rd stint in the big leagues, will finally have things click for him. Oh, dribbler Jepson, or Smith rather, with the play. Hicks is retired 2 away.
Yeah, that sinking fastball by Smith.
And Oswaldo Arcia is going to hit for Schaefer. Arcia getting a chance off the bench with the left-hander starting.
Yeah, Arcia 0 for 4 is a pinch hitter. Already hoping here that Smith will leave one up and Arcia can give the Twins a lead.
Well, we've seen Arcia crush pitches low in the strike zone. We'll see if he can get underneath one of these sinkers and lift it out of here.
14 home runs on the year for Arcia. Nine of his 14 home runs have been hit here at Target Field.
Breaking pitch, rolled foul. Twins do not have a pinch hit home run in 69 at bats. 14 hits, 9 runs batted in. One strike. Swing and a miss. 0-2. Shift on in the infield. The outfield playing Arcia pretty much straight away and deep. 0-2. Up and in. Grilly, Jepson, and now Smith out of the Angel bullpen. And 2-2.
Arcia has 1 home run against the Angels, that coming back on June 25th against Garrett Richards.
And he waves at that frisbee breaking ball. A good inning for Smith. The Twins are down 1-2-3 in the 8th inning. We're still tied.
fourth inning. It's the ninth inning. It is 4-4 at Target Field, Twins and Angels. And coming up after the game, we'll bring you Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink, and we'll look at a big inning for each team here tonight. It was the fourth inning for the Angels, the sixth inning tonight for the Twins. We'll show you how those unraveled, plus how Kyle Gibson was able to bounce back. He threw a great fifth inning, sixth inning, and seventh inning after his rough fourth inning. It was his longest start since August 13th, so we'll look at Gibson's start, and we'll bring you reaction from manager Ron Gardenhire. As always, Dick and Bert, that's coming up after tonight's game on Twins Live.
All right, thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty. Glenn Perkins coming in, making his 60th relief appearance. Hopefully you get a 1-2-3 inning. Exactly what he did here on Tuesday night against the White Sox. Worked the ninth inning.
First pitch strike to David Freese. Perkins typically goes just one inning at a time, of course. Hicks moving to left field, and Arcia stationed in right. Down to the left field corner, Freese hustling, and that ball is a fair ball, and it bounced out of the field of play, hit the limestone. It'll be a leadoff double for David Freese. Didn't even have the opportunity to complete the thought. Perkins hasn't had a hitless outing since he faced the Indians here on August 21st. He's picked up a save and a loss in Kansas City. 3 no decisions, but he's given up a lot of base runners.
Yeah, it's the last time he picked up the save, his 32nd at the time. But Freese getting a breaking ball, hitting it into that corner. Aaron Hicks now playing left field, plays it off of the limestone. Freese comes out of the ball game.
John McDonald in the ball game. He's going to try to lay down a bunt here, one would think.
The veteran has to bunt.
He bunts foul.
And that's where you want to try to bunt it, is toward Nunez, to let the speedy runner. Campana coming in to run.
Yes, Tony Campana.
McDonald, a veteran, many years at the major league level.
Nunez at third, Mauer at first.
39 years old, 16th season.
Crimping the corners. And there's a bunt foul, 2 strikes. And this is where McDonald's veteran status might give Mike Scioscia the freedom to go ahead and put it back on again, even with 2 strikes.
He has 3 sacrifices on the year.
What's the toughest pitch to bunt? When you were in this situation on the mound, what'd you try to throw?
Well, right here, I'd probably try to throw him a hard-breaking ball. Trust my catcher that Suzuki would block the ball. No fastball here.
And the third try is the charm, and Perkins throws to Dozier. The sacrifice advances Campana to third base.
I want the strikeout right there, so I'm going to go, if I'm Perkins, that hard slider down and in. But it was a fastball away, and McDonald can't, in that situation, try to bunt it to third. All he has to do is make contact and lay it down, and that's a good play right there. Good bunt right there by the veteran McDonald. You see that ball where it's at, chest high away, perfect ball to bunt.
Iannetta in, hitting for Conger, infield in. Pitches up.
Iannetta as a pinch hitter, 2 hits in 10 at-bats.
Perkins has had just 1 strikeout in his last 5 outings. He needs one here. That's to left. Hicks with the catch. Here's his strong throw to the plate. Not in time. The pinch running move by the Angels pays off, because that was a heck of a throw by Aaron Hicks.
It was a great throw by Aaron. Campana and his speed ends up scoring, and you have to credit McDonald laying down the bunt. Aberling the Angels to take a 1-run lead.
With a flat-footed throw of about 350 feet.
Campana making sure that Aaron Hicks catches it, and then the speed, he slides across the plate head first. What a great effort, great throw by Hicks.
The leadoff double leads to a go-ahead run, and now Cole Calhoun with the bases empty. Rolled to second. The Angels get a run on the ninth against the Twins closer, and the Twins will send up the top of their lineup in the ninth against the Angel closer, Houston Street. Changes for the Angels, and I'm thinking somewhere in this discussion a little concern raised by the Twins manager that Street just now is beginning his warm-up tosses. Everything that happened in the top of this inning, the double, the 3-pitch sacrifice, the fly ball was on the first pitch, the third out was on the first pitch. Street didn't have a whole lot of time to warm up, and I don't know whether he got an extra toss or two down in the bullpen, but he just walked in just as the changes were being given to the Twins bench.
Well, to be honest with you, you know, closers like Street and Raleigh fingers. I remember talking to Raleigh. He said, I asked him, how many does it take for you to get loose? He says, well, you have to remember first, I get 8 out on the big mound, right. So it might take me 5, 6, 7 pitches to get loose in the bullpen, and then I really get loose on the varsity mound, what I call it. Street has been a nice addition for the Angels since coming over from the Padres. He was a closer in San Diego, traded over on July 19th.
Iannetta catching. Cron at first base. McDonald at third base. And most importantly for the Angels, Street on the mound. He'll face Santana, Dozier, and Mauer. Vargas would bat fourth. Santana 3 strikeouts and a double. The Angels got a leadoff double at the top of this inning to eventually get the go-ahead run. Belt high strike to Santana.
Street not an overpowering fastball, but excellent control, a slider and a changeup. American League Rookie of the Year back in 2005 when he came up with the Oakland A's.
And a bunt foul, 2 strikes.
And McDonald, the third baseman, in on the grass, taking the bunt away.
Street's given up, as you saw, 2 runs in the 18 innings since coming over to the Angels. Has not given up a home run. He's hoping to get Santana's speed aboard to start the bottom of the ninth. That's to right. Calhoun coming in. It's a base hit for Santana. Hit it off the end of the bat. Dropped it in front of the right fielder.
Another multi-hit game for Santana. His 31st of the year.
It seems like so many of them, Bert, come with 2 strikes. He struck out 3 times, but he still battled with 2 strikes, put it in play.
Well, you see the guy that's standing with him right there, Paul Molitor at first base. Paul was very good at that. You know, just flicking it out, very quick wrists. Over 3,000 hits for Paul.
Now we'll see what, if anything, the Twins do with Santana's speed at first. Dozier at the plate, an RBI double in the 5th. Low throw, backhanded by Crone.
Santana using the outfield side of the bag to get back.
Mike Scioscia coming out of the dugout here. Come out and talk to Bill Welke.
Welke, the crew chief. I wonder if he wants to review that.
The pickoff?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it must be.
What other reason would he come out?
Wow, they're going to take a look at this. The Angels have seen something that leads them to believe they picked Santana off.
Let's take a look right here. Again, Santana using the edge of first base to get back.
Boy, I don't know. They got him. Santana took a long time to cover the last 6 inches to the bag with that bare hand.
Yeah, his hand kind of went into the dirt. Take another look right here. Santana diving back in, and then you can see the hand.
On that angle is not, it's not very.
You see his fingertips right at the corner of the bag. Did he get his fingertips on the bag before Crone could apply the tag?
Here's the first look, and it depends where if his fingers were on the bag, and then the tag. I think his fingers are on the bag, and then the tag causes the fingers to move. I think that's what that was. Definitive angle of the ones we've seen is the first one we showed you, where it looked like the fingers were on the bag and then maybe the tag itself caused the fingers. A little bit different angle here now. Yeah, see it? Well,
his palm kind of came up.
Yeah.
And well, through all this too, Street getting to throw some more to where he maybe didn't get a lot of throwing in the bullpen. See how the palm kind of dug into the dirt. And Welke right there, he called him safe.
Clear and convincing evidence is required, and the length of the challenge itself tells you that it's a tough play to call here. When does he touch the bag? Is it there?
Yeah, is his thumb on the bat?
Right. And then the tag into the armpit causes the hand to move.
Right.
The replay's been shown on the video board here a number of times, and the fans don't know how to react. And you're right, Houston Street's warmed up more on the game mound during this challenge than he did down in the bullpen.
Yeah, he says, that's it, I'm done. That's too much.
Still nobody out? And they are still looking in New York. And Santana, after getting a leadoff single, now wondering whether he's still a base runner or not.
I know the umpires don't like this.
We'll find out. Safe. So
I just don't think that they have the right, enough information to call him out.
Right. So the call stands. Santana at first, nobody out. Dozier at the plate.
It took 4 minutes and 16 seconds.
Popped up, backing out of play. One strike to Dozier. Dozier with a grounder to short in the first, a fly ball to right in the third, an RBI double in the fifth, and then he was called out on strikes in the sixth. To center field. Santana will hold up at second, not challenging Mike Trout's arm. And now Mauer to the plate with the tying run at second and the winning run at first.
Second base hit for Brian Dozier.
Boy.
Went down and hit that slider right back up the middle.
Street with the target down and away, put it right there, but Dozier stayed with it. And now Mauer. Mauer on the day. A ground out in the first, a single in the third, a walk in the fifth, another ground out in the seventh. Strike on the outside corner. Mauer 2 for 5 with a double against Houston Street. He and Nunez are the only guys who've ever faced him before. One strike to Mauer. Down and in. Reds have come back once already, down 4-0. They tied it back in the 6th inning. Now down 5-4. Outside corner, 1-2.
Joe kind of looking back at Paul Hamill on that last call. Let's see what Fox Track says.
Pitch. One and two. Popped up short left. Cowgill is there now. One away. And that'll bring up Vargas. Twins have had 5 walk-off at-bats. Only 3 walk-off hits.
Joe unable to advance the runners.
So far in 5 weeks in the big leagues, Vargas has done just about everything but provide a walk-off hit. Santana at second, Dozier at first, 1 away. Outside, ball 1.
Vargas resting that bat on his left shoulder. Hey, come on, throw that thing in here. I want to hit it hard somewhere.
Strike called, 1-1.
Breaking ball clipping the outer half of the plate. That's a pitch you want to lay off of anyway. That's a pitcher's pitch.
But that was down and away. That was not a strike. And the difference of 2-0 and 1-1. One and one to Vargas. Checked his swing, or did he? 2-1. Barring a game-winning hit or a game-ending double play, Escobar is on deck.
A good take right here. Very close.
Two and one to Vargas. In the dirt, dug out by Iannetta. And they have kept the ball down and away from Vargas throughout this at bat.
See if Street gives him a pitch to hit here.
Can't walk him, can you?
You would think it would be away. Maybe a two-seam fastball away.
3-1. Off-speed pitch, a swing and a miss, 3-2.
Pulled the string. Great pitch by Street. Sure, he's looking fastball right here.
What a pitch. Vargas has walked just 4 times since his call-up. 3-2 to the big man. Fouled back on another off-speed pitch and got a piece of it.
Another 3-2 pitch to Kenny Vargas. Struck him out.
Boy, stayed with that changeup.
2 down.
A big strikeout for Houston Street. 3 straight changeups on 3-2. Well, first one made it 3-2, and then 2 straight changeups. Great location down.
And now Escobar, first plate appearance. He entered the game as a pinch runner in the 7th for Trevor Plouffe. Twins with a pair of singles to start the bottom of the 9th. And Santana and Dozier are still sitting at 2nd and 1st. A strike. "17 pitches, 13 strikes for Street." Popped up left field. Should end the game. Cowgill calls for it. And the Angels win the opener. Best team in baseball did enough tonight to beat the Twins 5-4.
Twins almost came back. Good effort by the Twins. Down 4-0. They tied it, but then the Angels scored at the top of the 9th.
Tom Hanneman, these two teams generally play pretty tight ball games. We had one here tonight, just didn't go in the Twins' favor.
Dick, the Angels get their first win in Minnesota since 2012, but they had to fight to get it. 5-4 the final. Up next on Twins Live, we'll talk about the big innings both teams had. We'll hear from Gardy.